Welcome to the Paul and Stephen podcast, or the Stephen and Paul podcast, because we call them both because we can never really decide what to call them, apart from Paul and Stephen or Stephen Paul. My name is Paul Charland. I'm an Associate Director at Haus Real Estate. I've been in Dubai since 2005, and I would like to pass on to my partner, Stephen.
I don't know about partner.
In the past.
This is Stephen. I work at Haus with Paul, and I've been in Dubai since 2003, 21 years. Since last month, actually.
Amazing.
26th of August, 2003.
And still going strong, Stephen.
Getting a little bit weak around.
Not had a bad year, have you, Stephen? Had a good year?
Yeah, it's been a good year. So
and
far.
You worked all summer?
I did. What did you do?
I was lucky enough to actually have a little bit of time away. I went to London and to Muraba. I was in London for 3 weeks. I enjoyed probably the first 10 days. Why
was that?
Well, I find that the riots were on when I was there, the race riots, unfortunately. And to be honest, you get bored throwing bricks. You do. I mean, you know, all different sizes, and they scratch your hands. Yes. No, it was. I love London. I like going there. I found this time though, apart from they've got some issues, is that everything you wanted to do, pop down the road, pop to the shop, that would have taken me 20, 25 minutes 10 years ago. I actually believe that any popping out now in London or in the UK takes an hour. It could be roadworks, it could be closed bridges, it could be problems, it could be stop oil protesters. There always seems to be something for the
oil.
You know, the stop oil protesters who are stopping the M25. They're going up the Dartford crossing, and basically what it is that anything you do in the UK, it's almost as if you're going to encounter a problem doing it, but how many problems are you going to encounter? So like the less the better. It's not like you're going to do anything quite easily. It just doesn't really happen there.
So did you ever come home and say, oh, that was easy?
No, I stopped going out, to be honest. I just got everyone to come round to me.
Yes, I could believe that from you. And what about Marbella?
Yeah, went to Marbella. Marbella was fantastic this year. I've actually lived there twice, 2002, 2005, and in the teens. It goes up and down Marbella with its popularity, but I've got to say this year, I'd say it was the best Marbella I've seen for 10, 15 years. Really busy, really good atmosphere. Nice people, all the restaurants were busy. It was very, very nice. Great weather, good people.
Very good. Well, I stayed here because I thought everybody else is going away, so I might be able to clean up.
Yeah, and you did, didn't you?
Well, not really, no. It wasn't that busy.
Really?
I did okay. I was okay. It wasn't as busy as I thought it was going to be. But I'm going away next week.
Where are you going to, Stephen?
I am going to Spain.
Whereabouts?
I'm going to Madrid, San Sebastian, and then I am going up to Prague for the House and House incentive.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to that?
Yes.
Who are you sharing the room with?
I don't know. Whoever's the lucky person.
I'm sure they will be.
Yana, but she doesn't want to go.
No, Yana didn't want to, no?
No, apparently not. No,
that's a shame.
Unfortunately.
Okay.
There we go. I don't know why. But what else?
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Steve, and this is a question which we've encountered many times over the years in Dubai, and it's a question that will be going on for another 10 or 20 years, and the question is there a crash coming to Dubai, or is there a correction, or is there a big slowdown coming?
So, and yeah, I mean, I get asked this all the time, what's going to happen in the future? Can this carry on the way it is? What do you say? This is the comparison I like to use. So I go back to 2008. Now, it was actually September the 15th when, Dubai finished effectively. It's when Lehman Brothers went bankrupt, and effectively the Dubai market stopped. Up until that point, 2002 to 2008, it'd actually really been one way. Now, when we look at the differences in the market then compared to now, the differences are huge. So the population back then was 1.2 million. I'd say particularly towards the end of 07 and all of 2008 up until September, 70% of the market was speculators. They were buying to sell, buying in January to sell in March or April. They were borrowing to buy.
Yeah, and borrowing, so a lot of leverage in Dubai. There wasn't many people actually buying homes to live in because they were moving to Dubai. There was people buying holiday homes. There was obviously the expats here who were buying property, but a lot of the market effectively was built on these slogans, build it and they will come, and all these different sort of things. And effectively, Dubai was on a fantastic run due to circumstances completely outside of their control with a worldwide financial crash. Dubai just got hit very badly just because of all the leverage and all of the borrowing that people had done. Now we fast forward to now, and I'll let you talk about the market now, Stephen, and the fundamental differences.
So for me, actually, there was everybody we spoke to back then were buying to flip.
Yep.
Yes, a few people were buying to live in, but almost everybody I ever spoke to was looking at buying and then selling. They weren't even thinking about renting. They asked about rental yields, but actually they were interested in what it was going to be worth in 2 or 3 months' time.
Yeah.
I think now we went through a whole stage where people were just buying for yield, for renting. And I don't remember when exactly that stopped, but certainly in the last 2 to 3 years, since COVID, almost immediately COVID, we opened up, they opened up Dubai to the rest of the world after the COVID lockdowns. People are moving here. They're coming to live here. They're buying, they might still be buying for investment. A lot of my clients are buying for investment with the mind that they're bringing their money over here from overseas, whether that be from the UK, Europe, North America, Canada, etc. They're bringing their money here to invest in property, to get rental yield, so that when they do eventually move here, because it's going to take them 2 or 3 years to get everything sorted and sort out an exit strategy. Some people have already done it. A lot of people are still going to do it. They've got to get into schools for their kids. That's a problem. You can reflect on that one. So now they're buying to live here plus investment, and they're buying they're buying villas and townhouses where they and their families are not just the immediate family, but they're bringing their parents, they're bringing their grandchildren. It's 3 generations are moving here, and plus they're bringing their companies over here. Yeah, to relocating.
And another thing we should mention with these different markets, years ago, there wasn't 100 to 200,000 people moving here a year. Now there is 100 to 200,000 people moving here a year. So with the people moving here, buying property or renting property, I think, we still don't know the exact figures. You're never going to know until after the date. But over the next few years, 40 to 70,000 units are going to be handing over a year, of which a lot of those are going to be smaller units. So a crash comes, I think, with oversupply when people haven't got money. We know the money's there. We believe there's undersupply in Dubai, which is going to continue for the foreseeable future. So, if you want to make it very simple, when there's more buyers than sellers and there's more buyers than what there is property, then to me, that makes it more or less impossible that there is going to be a crash.
What was someone saying the other day about townhouses and villas and the numbers at the moment? It's around, what's the percentage of the market?
The breakdown of the units in Dubai currently is 87% apartments, 8% townhouses, 5% villas.
And where do we get that number from?
These are the official stats.
Okay. And where do we see that changing over the next 4 to 5 years? Because my understanding is the villas and townhouses are going to be a much lower percentage than that.
To be honest, I think really there's going to have to be some major analysis done of where the shortage is, because we've recognised, it's clear to everybody that there's a shortage of villas and townhouses. What we also know is obviously with the amount of families moving here who need to be near to schools, we know where the main concentration of schools is. We also then, following on from that, know there's a shortage of 3-bed apartments. So to be honest, it can't continue as it's going, because the discrepancy and the shortage of the family units, the bigger units, is going to grow greater. And if the developers carry on building smaller units, which is great for your singles and your couples, which aren't accommodating to the families, then something will have to change.
I don't know that buying a studio or a 1-bedroom is such a bad investment if that's all you can afford. But if you can stretch to the larger units or the townhouses or villas, it's definitely the way to go. There are a lot of villa communities being launched over the next few months that we know of. I don't think, how many units are that? Is it 5,000? Well, 6,000 units maybe in total?
A great way to make you realise, if you look at Arabian ranches, hopefully our listeners and everybody does know Arabian ranches, there's 4,000 to 4,500 units there in total. That's a big development. If there's 100,000 people moving here a year and a big villa development is only 5,000 units, they're obviously going to need a lot more property. It's just simple maths.
Absolutely. just to go back, so you're talking about oversupply correction, etc. We've talked about the number of people that are living here, but generally, what's your answer to people when they say, what's your one sentence answer to people that are talking about oversupply and a correction?
I just say that it's actually fundamentally impossible for there to be an undersupply if there's more people moving here than what there is available places to live.
Fair enough.
And that is the official, I mean, officially there's I think last year was 107,000 people moved here. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's right. That's the official figures. So there's also going to be a lot of people who move here, who live here for a couple of months, leave the country, go back to Europe, go somewhere else and then come back. So that's another big percentage. You know, and they're going to be renting property, they might be buying property.
You've also got the figures on tourism. I think this year so far, is it 17 million people so far this year?
I think it's 8% on last year, which was a record year last year.
So those people are not all staying in hotels. A lot of them are staying in short term, in Airbnb, etc. So there must be a demand on property for that as well, no?
I mean, I think, you know, we House and House were lucky enough to get into the short-term leasing at the beginning here, I think in 2013, 2014.
A bit later than that.
But that is a massive market now, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Huge.
It is. Yeah.
Our leasing department, which is 100 people, they've just had their busiest summer ever. Yes. In leasing. So I think that speaks volumes. Obviously, they're busy because people are renting property to live in. This is people who are moving here. This is the long-term leasing department. So I think that's another confirmation of what's going on.
What's also happening is that when we look at those figures, the renewals are up as well. And what that means is a lot of people are staying where they are because the rents have gone up a lot. And for them to move to another apartment means that they probably have to pay a much higher rent.
Yes.
So they're staying where they are, which is good for landlords. There's a positive to landlords. Maybe they're not paying the market rate, but it's still a very good rate probably compared to what the landlord actually paid for that property originally. And then the newer properties are taking new people on, which is what we're talking about, those people who have just arrived. Records. I think Jake over there, I think he's hit target the last 4 months.
Really?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah.
So, Paul, we're just coming into the busy season now. September, summer's over, people are coming back. God, the roads are busy. How busy are they? My journey to home now is going from 35 minutes up to over an hour last night just to get home. Coming into work, I come in early, so it's taking me like 18 minutes, but to go home at night is over an hour. It's horrible. Anyway, but it's all good stuff because that's my business and people are moving here. But my point is, we're now coming to summer, we're starting to see some pretty amazing projects being launched, new projects. What have you seen that you like the look of at the moment?
The two that I think are special, and I'd be surprised if a lot of people don't think the same thing, is Muraba
and Baccarat.
Baccarat, yes.
So
I said that right.
You've chosen two of the most expensive properties in Dubai, but they are amazing. They're unique. They're going to be, what would they'd be iconic buildings, weren't they? Once they're done, there's extraordinary buildings, but. You missed out one other iconic building, which would probably I put in the same box, and that's Six Senses. Now let's talk about Muraba. Just very briefly, tell us about Muraba, because not many people will have heard about Muraba.
You tell it then, because you know more than me.
It's just an incredible looking building. They're calling it the Vale, and it's literally as you walk around the building, it almost disappears. It's incredible. And the interior, they've very cleverly built a very tall building with some very beautiful layouts where the outside of the building is coming onto the inside, and the veil is the sort of covering so that you can sit outside on your balcony. You'll be protected more or less in certain places by the sun, and yet you'll be sitting by a swimming pool in your apartment, and it's just I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. No, it's extraordinary.
I agree. I think the actual visually the building is stunning.
Yes.
And the reason I mentioned Baccarat, I'm sure I said that right, and the same thing, because you've got Baccarat, which is your crystal glass, shiny but classy.
Yes.
And then you've got Muraba. Have I said that right?
Yeah.
Which is to me is your sort of your earthy. It's like in touch with nature type of building. It's hard to explain. It's like the opposite of Baccarat, but both of them, I just think those two buildings themselves, they're going to make their mark on Dubai.
And the communal areas on the ground floor where all the pools are. Have you seen? Have you studied that at all?
Not properly, no.
So they've got like sand dunes with pools, swimming pools. So the sand dunes are all over the place in the massive communal area at the base of the building. I guess the people living in that building, they'll be sitting by their own pool, and there'll be someone else over another side, over the other dune, sitting by their pool.
I think it'd be in postcards of Dubai in 5 or 10 years.
I agree totally. On that same subject, there's one other building that you and I have a great deal of interest in, and that's the lovely Six Senses in Dubai Marina. Now, you're not a big fan of Dubai Marina. To an extent, nor am I really, but...
Right, so this is our opinion on Six Senses. Yeah, I mean, I think you'd have heard us speak in the past, probably particularly me, about Dubai Marina. I'm a fan of Dubai Marina. I think if you're coming here in the winter to live for 6 months, it's a fantastic place to live. You don't need to use a car, you don't need to go to work, brilliant. But unfortunately, if you live in Dubai and you go to work in Dubai, you're not really going to want to live in the marina just because of the traffic coming in and out. Now, that said...
Traffic and parking and...
Yes.
And not that many good buildings, really.
No. Yeah. Now, when you look at what Six Senses' second offering, so when Six Senses announced that they were going to be building in the Middle East, all the developers wanted to work with them. They were falling over themselves to work with them, and then they chose to work with Select. They did their first project, Six Senses on the Palm, which has been a resounding success. We believe that arguably will be the number one development on the Palm. I know people will disagree with that. Everyone's got their own choices.
That was selling originally for what, about 5,000 or 6,000?
5,000 to 5,500 dirhams a square foot.
And now it's trading at
8 to 9.
And they paid no more than what, 40%?
It was a 40. Well, if you bought at the beginning, it was a 40-60. If you bought later, it was a 50-50.
Okay, so maximum you paid is 50%, and it's gone up by 30-odd%.
Yeah, so well, it's gone up by 30 to 40%. So you're looking at 60 to 80% ROI now if you sold before the final payment.
Would you sell now if you had one?
I'd keep it. I think it's going to be amazing. I think it's going to be one of the addresses of the world.
Yes.
So with Six Senses Dubai Marina, we've got their first residential tower. It's going to be 122 floors with just 251 units. It's going to have over 60,000 square feet of amenities. I mean, incredible for the amount of apartments they're actually going to have, the amount of services. Now, this is what we find so amazing about this particular project. The starting price is just under 3,000 dirhams a square foot. Now, we're selling high-end products in Dubai for 8 to 10,000 dirhams a square foot. We won't tell them what you are now, but if you want to call us, we can tell you. Now, Six Senses Dubai Marina from 3,000 dirhams a square foot, and it's on a 40-60 payment plan, which means there's 40% during construction, 60% on completion. Now, completion's in 4 years. Now, if you're putting down 40% over the next 6 months, I think very conservatively, that's going to go up by 10% a year. So simple maths. If you sell it before completion, that's 100% ROI. We're actually confident it's going to go up by 20% a year, which will give you an ROI of 200% a year, which we know sounds fantastical, but we've done the figures. Now, as I said, if we're selling properties at 8 to 10,000 dirhams a square foot today, and we have Six Senses, one of the most exclusive hotel brands in the world, doing 122 floor, first residential tower at 3,000 dirhams a square foot, why won't that be 8 to 10,000 dirhams on completion? Stephen, your opinion, please.
Look, I couldn't agree with you more. I remember taking people down to the Atlantis on the Palm Jumeirah, where you could have bought probably for around the same price, 2,500 to 3,000 dirhams a square foot originally. Yeah. Now what are they selling at? Over 10?
Over 10,000.
Over 10,000 dirhams a square foot. Now it's completed. And it was only the last couple of months just before Hando where they started really making a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was a 30 or 40% during construction, I believe, the payment plan. Look, I'm talking to lots of people about Six Senses because I think it's a great opportunity for someone to, if you wanted to live there, amazing, go and live there, because it will be one of the best buildings in Dubai by far. And if you want to just purely to flip, there's definitely an opportunity to do that for sure.
I will stake a claim for me and Stephen here. We actually believe that Six Senses, now obviously it's quite a high ticket purchase, but we believe currently that is the best flippable opportunity in Dubai currently in the Dubai market. We honestly believe with that payment plan and that product, if you take a 2-year view, you're going to do extremely well. And for more information, please contact us and we can go through everything with you.
100%, for sure.
Obviously, we've always been very keen on Expo since the beginning, which I believe that launched in March last year. We've been selling there since the beginning. Now we know that EMAR have taken a very strong vested interest in that area. I believe there's 4 developments which have been announced or are going to be announced, but they've said they're going to be doing. So what's your general opinion on what's going on in that area and what the future holds?
Look, everybody's talking about the new airport that's happening, Al Maktoum Airport. And a lot of people are looking at Dubai South as an area. Now, frankly, I don't really like what they're doing in Dubai South, but I do like what EMAR are doing and what Expo are doing, because they are going to be they're going to be the exceptional places to live there.
Yeah.
I think generally what the other properties that I've seen myself in the Dubai South area that have been completed or are under construction or are just being sold at the moment, they are less attractive, in my opinion. They are, I'm not saying they are affordable accommodation. I think that there will be a demand for those properties, for sure. But if you are a certain amount of money, a good amount of money, then I think Expo, EMAR South, and any of the new villa developments from EMAR, which are going to be built in that area, those are the ones to think about, for sure.
I'll tell you what I like. So we can go back to the beginning of the 2000s. So when when Arabian Ranches originally handed over,
I know what you're going to say.
There was one road up, one road down. Yeah. Now you look at all.
Do you remember when Ranches was launched?
I was the first person to move into Savannah.
Were you?
The first people in
what year was that?
2005.
So they would have started selling it about 2004, 2003, no?
2002, I believe, because I know that my landlord paid $1 million dirhams for his Type 9 Savannah. $1.05 million he paid.
What would that be worth today?
What, 7 or 8?
Yes.
Yeah.
And modified.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it'd been modified, it'd be a hell of a lot more. I can believe that. What I remember saying to people, people used to say to me, who's going to live out there?
Yeah.
Who wants to live all that way? And yet here
it is in the centre.
Here it is very much in the centre, exactly.
But for me, what EMAR are doing and Expo are doing in this new area, this is what I find the most exciting about what they're going to do. So Dubai now, say it's 22 years old, the real estate market. So they build their new developments and they realise that, say, the roads are getting busy, they've got to widen the roads or they've got to build new roads or new interchanges. So they're continually looking to improve and to make things better. Now, what they've got in the Expo area and that area in total is like a blank canvas. So what you've got all these new developments, which
they've got all the infrastructure there.
They've got some of the infrastructure there.
Well, the roads. I mean, talk about the roads.
What they're going to do is, where you've got this barren desert, obviously, all they can do is improve that area. This is what I like about Dubai, because if this was in Europe or the UK, any new big master development's going to go over Greenbelt, which is going to cut down forests. Over here, quite a sort of boring, unsightly bit of yellow sand is suddenly going to become beautifully green and landscape with some nice property and some gazelles and horses running around. I think it's quite nice. But Dubai will do that. You can see in a few years' time, that would be an amazing sort of new area of Dubai.
I don't think there'll be wild horses though, will they?
There could be here in Dubai.
Really?
Yeah. This is Dubai, Stephen.
Yeah, true.
Flying horses as well.
Flying?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because there's going to be some people don't like getting these new air taxis. They're not going to want to get them.
No?
No.
So they go on a flying
horse instead, yeah. I think it's safer.
Fair enough.
Because if you think a flying car, the mechanics can brake, but a flying horse, they can't.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. There's lots of things happening over here.
Keep smoking.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, what do I think about Dubai South? You have to be cautious, I think, about Dubai South. I think there is a lot of hype about it at the moment because of the new airport. And we have to remember that the airport probably isn't going to be fully functioning for the next probably 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
It's a long-term plan there. And yes, there's lots of people want to live there because maybe they have businesses there in that area, the industrial area, the commercial area, all the warehousing, etc. But is there enough demand from people who can afford those properties to actually live in those properties in that area? I don't know.
The one thing I hope they don't do is if they recognise, it's being recognised as a new area. I think this happened with the Creek a few years ago to a certain extent. They sort of priced in the future. So, I mean, to me, the Creek went from being very expensive to being affordable because all of a sudden it was a very popular place. But before that, we were taking people there and they're saying, we know that what this could be in 5 or 10 years, but the price I'm paying today is what it should be in 5 or 10 years. And with Dubai South or that area, you hope that it's not like, well, we know this is going to be amazing in 5 or 10 years, so we're going to price that now. I think the investors going in now, they should be the ones who are getting the best returns because effectively they're at the forefront of a new area.
And are they?
I'd say so, yes.
All of them.
But to me, see, if the big statement to me was obviously Expo we were sold on anyway, but for Emaar to announce 4 developments all in that area all at the same time off the back of Oasis, to me that means that Emaar, Expo, if you want to put them together, they've chosen that's going to be their area and that's where the future's going to be.
I think, yeah. I mean, again, we go back to Emaar. Following Emaar is always a wise decision for any investor because, I just heard, the Valley, for instance, the Valley by Emaar. Everybody's saying, it's too far away, et cetera, et cetera. Well, Shoba, they've just opened something right next door to it. What's it called? Elwood. Yeah. And I've just heard across the road from Emaar, Meras have bought a load of land.
Really?
Yeah. So, and they're going to build a townhouse and villa community or a villa or possibly town, I'm guessing, but I presume they are. So that whole area is going to be an extension of Dubai. And what a lot of people forget is that any major city in the world have suburbs. And we have some suburbs. We have places like JVC, Town Square, etc. But why wouldn't we have more suburbs? And why wouldn't people live a little bit further away from the centre? Because people are not necessarily working in the centre. Not everybody's working in Business Bay or in Emaar, what's it called, Emaar Square and Media City, Internet City.
The Expo Business Centre is going to get busier and busier, isn't it?
Massive. Yes, and people are going to probably not want to work in the centre due to the traffic issues, etc., and the commute. Although the metro is going to be everywhere, but it's always going to take time. It's a fast-growing city, but just people have to be a little bit patient.
Yeah.
What else is there?
One of the things that I've noticed with me, some of the inquiries I've had over the last 3 to 6 months is brand new inquiries, and what I mean by that is, we've been dealing with new buyers for the last 20 years, but these are people who have only shown an interest very recently in Dubai, whether it's on the news, whether it's because they've been affected by the elections in their own country, because that's another factor, in France, Germany and the UK. That's making Dubai look more attractive with taxes going up. So what we're seeing is the last 3 to 6 months is brand new inquiries, and these are from people who never would have looked at Dubai before. Maybe they'd have bought a second property in the UK, maybe they'd have bought a property in Spain, somewhere like that, but these places just aren't attractive anymore. Buying that second property in the UK, people have problems with tenants, the rental yields aren't very good, obviously the housing market's going through a tough period, tax, interest rates. So what we're seeing is that when people, maybe they've come on holiday to Dubai for the first time, or one of their friends has bought, and it's right, we want to learn about Dubai, and it's almost as if these are the buyers that I was dealing with 15 years ago who wanted to learn about Dubai then.
Yes.
And I hadn't really seen that type of buyer since COVID. It's like now, normal market conditions, it's where can we look to invest, and Dubai keeps coming up again and again and again.
Totally agree. The inquiries I'm getting is obviously I'm dealing with a lot of older clients or people that I've sold to previously, but even I was out with a couple today actually that they bought an investment property from me, I don't know, about 8 or 9 years ago. They've done really well, Belgravia and JVC. Very happy with that investment. Now they're buying another investment and they're talking about closing their business down in London and moving over here to Dubai. The whole family, the 3 kids as well, who are all in very good schools in London, and they're living in a very nice house and they have a very good, successful business, but they've just had enough. Yeah. And now they're coming. Yes, they won't be coming next week or next month, but in the next 2 or 3 years, they will be moving here. And those are the people that we're talking to all the time. I've got people in Canada who've had enough in Canada, and they're coming here. US. Coming here.
Yeah, and one thing I've seen, so you'd probably say the nationality of most buyers, if you had to say probably Brits, Indians, Pakistanis, Russians, maybe. I would say this year and last year, compared to years ago, the amount of Germans, French, Dutch, Italians, generally
Turkish.
Europeans.
So there's Turkish? Turkish up there?
I mean, Germans particularly for me, unprecedented the amount of numbers now buying in Dubai. As I said, followed by the French, Dutch, Italians. That is no sign of slowing down. And Stephen, I've been asked by a few people recently, they think a slowdown is coming. They said, the market's been on this bull run now since the beginning of 2021. What's your opinion on that?
I'm not seeing any signs. I mean, it was a little bit quiet over the summer, July and August for sales. Our rental department was, as you said earlier, we're doing very well. But sales-wise, it's almost exponential growth at the moment. Just so many people. We're getting a lot more inquiries. I'm certainly selling a lot more property than I have in the past to people who are they might think there's a slowdown, but they're not concerned necessarily. They're in it for the long run. Yeah, if you've got a short-term view, then worry about a slowdown. But honestly, I've been doing this now 20 odd years, and everybody's been saying there's going to be a slowdown, there's going to be a slowdown. And yes, occasionally they might be right. There might be a slowdown. But if you look at it long-term, anybody that's been in this market for more than 6 or 7 years has done extremely well.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
In my experience. So yes, if you come in here and you think, okay, I'm going to buy and flip, and by the way, that's something we do need to talk about and address, is that one of the issues I've noticed is there are clients coming to me and saying, I've been told by this agent that I can buy this property and then flip it next month for a big profit. It's just so unlikely, and it's just not going to happen.
It's so unethical for that agent to tell them that.
Yeah, and my next question is, do they have a resale department? Who's going to actually do that? Yeah, but anyway, I digress, but yes. So no, I think I don't see a slowdown, and if there is a slowdown, maybe I've got, what's it called, rose-coloured spectacles on, etc. But it's as busy as it's ever been, as far as I'm concerned.
To me, I think you're exactly right. The market's busy. The prices have been going up slowly and like they should do in a normal busy market. Obviously, we went through the massive bubble of 2008, so we've experienced that. So we know we're not going through that now. One of the things I find quite exciting is that when we get these new inquiries, what I find about Dubai, and I've worked in a few different places in the world in property, but the nationalities you deal with is literally, you've got people from all parts of the world.
Yes.
I mean, literally, they could be from Colombia, they could be from France, they could be from Zimbabwe, they could be from South Africa, they could be from Australia, Canada, you name it. We could get an inquiry and it could be from anywhere, and that person knows Dubai, they're interested in Dubai, they want to make an investment or they want to move here. I don't know if there's anywhere else in the world where you've got such a diverse range of people wanting to come here. Do you?
No. And we speak English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. That's a big bonus, isn't it?
I think people forget this. When you think of how diverse Dubai is, and it must be one of the most diverse places in the world. And when you think...
You mean diverse as in nationalities and religions?
Diverse in nationalities, nationalities and religions. And I think that the way that everybody wants to live in harmony, doesn't want any problems, just wants to live and get on with things and have a nice life and let people get on with their things.
Crime free,
more or less, and and it's something that Dubai's got, and whether you want to admit it or not, I don't know anywhere else in the world that does have that.
We're a bit smug, aren't we?
We are being a bit smug, yes.
Yes, but there we go. Yeah. That's you and me.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.